Hey guys, Jared here. Today I wanted to brainstorm samurai and Ronin concepts in the fantasy genre. Something I've been thinking about as a part of a legendary sword fighter series. Essentially, this is the honor bound, katana wielding one man army. They're defined by their skill with the blade and the discipline it takes to get that skill. The warrior is as sharp as the legendary sword they carry. These characters are often tragic, whether it's their hero's journey or their backstory. They've seen and done things they would rather forget. It's an honest and vulnerable character, but one that demands respect. They live on the edge of death and have a strange relationship with it. That said, I want to recreate this archetype for a fantasy setting. Japan has extraordinary mythology, full of scary monsters, forest spirits, and epic heroes and gods that would be a blast to explore. Give them opponents that range from rival sword fighters to beastly monsters or demons from Japanese mythology. Though the setting might differ from real life, we can keep the deeper character arcs from the archetype you may have seen in period pieces. Naturally, there will be some overlap in the tropes and archetypes, as writers tend to use them as elements to play with creatively. This archetype is skill personified. They go beyond their disability to learn the heart of combat, a sixth sense in the rhythm, timing, and distance of incoming strikes. In some iterations, this sixth sense is mostly a way of feeling attacks as they come in and instinctively knowing the countermeasure to employ. In others, though, like Kenshi of Mortal Kombat, this sixth sense is cranked up to full-blown telekinesis. This character is by nature unassuming, so other characters in the story will likely fall victim to their seeming helplessness. They would make a great teacher, offering a valuable training lesson to the protagonist and the deeper art of the flow of combat. They are also a lesson in perspective, ironically, using the lack of sight as a lack of distraction and turning a weakness into a strength. But they could certainly be the main character as well, especially as a wandering Ronin who lives day by day and gets swept into defending the helpless against injustice. The character that launched this trope into modern storytelling is novelist Kan Shimizawa's Zatoichi. I probably butchered that, but I'm trying. Zatoichi is a blind swordsman with an incredibly troubled past. He was popularized with a series of films from the 50s all the way to the 2000s. He's the prototype of characters like Daredevil, gaining nearly preternatural combat abilities with enhanced senses and possibly a sixth one added in there. He carries the weight of his actions as a Yakuza, killing many in his younger life. So now he walks the earth trying to repent for his sins, using his senses to cheat and gambling to survive. Famously, he uses a hidden sword in his walking cane as opposed to a katana, something they paid homage to in the recent John Wick 4 with Donnie Yen's Kane character. Or perhaps, like Kenshi of Mortal Kombat, they are seeking revenge on the person who took their sight. Maybe they had to learn the hard lessons themselves about their newfound fighting senses. Maybe sight itself was a disability all along compared to this sixth sense. This archetype transcends samurai Ronin archetypes into many variations of oddball sword or kung fu masters. Essentially, it's the weird old man or grizzled servant that turns out to be a savant or a legendary sword master. In many ways, it's similar to the blind Ronin. You don't see their skill coming. Often, this character is a teacher. Think Yoda from Star Wars. We meet him as a bumbling puppet, only to learn he is the acrobatic hero in the fight against Count Dooku and the Emperor in the prequel movies. This trope borrows from the wise fool you might see in Shakespeare. What you see on the surface isn't always the complete story, and this character is a manifestation of that lesson. Another way this character manifests is as a hidden bodyguard. Someone no one realized was an incredible warrior until things get bad. Think of Fade or Auroris and Jim Butcher's Codex Solera, a series I highly recommend. Japan knows how to do scary. Oni, shape-shifting spider women, somehow a specific style of ghost that is more terrifying than Western ghosts. So naturally, a samurai-style demon slayer would make a fascinating character in a world full of yokai and magic and demons. This archetype is most likely to use a magic sword with various tools of the trade for their supernatural opponents. Using secret elements of sword construction, ki, or spells often grants these weapons the ability to harm the supernatural foes in ways that regular weapons cannot. Kind of like the divine sword trope in Western sword mythology that you might see in a Dungeons and Dragons game. Sometimes the magic sword isn't even metal, but a wooden bokudo or boken with magic energies transferred through it. If you have any interest in anime, you've probably seen a good example of this character. Ichigo from Bleach, Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, or Kyoichi from Tokyo Majin. Again, yikes, don't know if I pronounced those well. It's classic good guy stuff, with a special sword meets monster, just with cooler swords and scarier monsters. But Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots also has a fantastic example of this archetype and where the character's journey could go. When a young demon slayer learns he's hunting a nine-tailed fox that has a beautiful human form, he starts to question who the monster really is. What was labeled a demon may just be the last of a mystical race of beings who just want to survive a changing world. Oftentimes, the Demon Slayer has a unique aspect that gives them an edge in hunting monsters, being a partial monster themselves. Blade, Vampire Hunter D, Inuyasha, and Blood Sea all include monster slayers that are half demon or half vampire. Some are born from circumstance, like Blade, where his mother was bitten by a vampire while he was still in the womb. Others, like Saya Kizaragi of Blood Sea, are more like government experiments. In fact, she's more a full-blown monster, with her human side only hypnosis and fake memories. Bold move, guys. Either way, they carry the strengths of their enemies and less of their weaknesses. A major storyline with this half-monster is which part of themselves they lean into. They exist as a duality, one part human, another part monster. This means they have a soul, but also cravings for mayhem, blood, and destruction. Naturally, this brings up a moral dilemma that will need to be explored. This character either needs to be in the process of learning that boundary, or already has that boundary well established until something changes them. They can easily become ostracized by human society, painting them as a monster completely. I think this aspect alone connects them with the greater samurai archetype in a unique way. The violent acts of a warrior can often make them feel like monsters. However, this could also be a terrifying villain. No mercy, no soul, just mayhem and carnage. So if you're thinking about creating a cool Ronin character in any kind of fantasy setting, RPG, or even a novel, consider some of these archetypes. There's plenty more that you could probably choose from. You could even borrow from other genres. That's the fun part about creative storytelling. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more genre storytelling content.